All right, y'all, we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. Gonna see if it has BSS with its main Google search. So we're back here in the GBC universe, taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More about that, pinned video, homepage, whatever. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So it's our full intent ladder. High intent over on the left, low intent over on the right. So for Ryzen, we're probably bringing in peeps from this entire intent ladder, high to low intent, making them aware of us, bringing them into us. And if we're falling, then we're missing some chunks of people somewhere. So again, F6 explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. That's why it's our North Star. So here we talk about BSS, boudoir search sameness. Well, we'll get into that. That's all about over on the left side, the highest intent peeps, people searching for boudoir photo shoots in our city right now across social search on social media, and on Google. Then over on the right, the lowest intent peeps, that's where we deal with our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, our other profiles. We talk about BLCS, and right now we only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. And Facebook ads is going to the lowest intent people, which is actually the highest volume of people in that ever exist in one time in a city. All right, so BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 slots, I mean, dude, we're dead because we already know approximately 80% of all Google searches only stay on page 1. They don't even make it to page 2. So this is the bulk of the market, approximately 80%. And we actually, this is the cohort we care about. The other 20%, I mean, they're clicking off to page 10, pages 1 through 10, so we don't care about them. We care about being visible, most visible to the 80% that never leave page 1. So 0 slot, if we're on page 2, basically dead, 80% won't even find us. For our 1 slot, we're essentially dead as well, because we look the same as every other boudoir photographer who also has 1 slot on page 1, and there's going to be 9 others, or at least there's 10 organic slots. So, and any buyer goes to page 1, Google's literally just going to click open everyone's, contact everyone, and basically they ain't even going to hit page 2. So we're really being compared against everyone on page 1 of Google search. And we also know that 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is not normal. It's extremely common. Everyone accepts it as normal, but it's not normal. It's actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are one everyone knows about, which is market saturation, and 2, one basically nobody knows about, which is the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, peeps know that. It's when someone gets a new iPhone, and we see them throw up basically throw up a Google My Business profile, a website saying they now shoot boudoir, or they get a new camera, they're posting in the mom group saying they now do boudoir. And so that's market saturation. Also, a big tsunami of this came when COVID hit. People lost their jobs. People still needed to earn money. A ton of boudoir photographers entered the marketplace, made it way more competitive. Page 1 on Google to get clients, market saturation, force people out. That normally happens after people get relegated to page 2 or deeper. But the most important thing here is the false belief of page 1 equality. This is the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses, is believing that everyone's, every boudoir photographer gets, like 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google. And, if my website was there, I was on page 1, but then market saturation happened, it pushed me to page 2. Well, that's simply how it works. All right, I'm at 0 slots on page 1 now, and I'm at 1 slot on page 2. That's simply how it is. Hopefully, the new people delete their website, so maybe I can get back on page 1. Because right now I'm invisible. Only 20% of people are even coming to page 2. But no, that's totally false. It's a false belief because Google actually gives as many page 1 slots as one wants to put in the effort to acquire. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots to 9 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google search in 10 days using this new solution we've developed. So we first got to break out of the mental trap, kind of mental cage. We need to understand that page 1 equality is a false belief. That is just, we get 0, 1 slots, and that's how it is. That's how it is for every boudoir photographer. False, incorrect. And this goes for social search as well. We can take as many slots as we want, put in the effort to acquire. Now, we also know that a boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. And that's because, if we're relegated to page 2 of search on social networks or on Google, we already know approximately 80% of searchers are never seeing us, which means, we're disappearing fast. And it's kind of a canary in the coal mine. If we have BSS, we're a disappearing boudoir photographer, which means, you know, the countdown clock is on to when our boudoir photography entire business disappears as well. So we're building up our micro universe here. Disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. But if we break through that false belief of page one equality, uh, see it for what it is, that it's false, that it's not true, it's not real, it's made up, we can actually have a chance to use our new solution because we know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka our S-cubed methodology that we invented. And again, this is what I use to go from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 Google search to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search in 10 days. So this works by exactly what it says. We saturate the social search with the highest intent keywords. And this actually, as we do that more and more and more, this flows. It's kind of like all the little rivers, that flow into the Amazon. As we saturate social search more and more and more and more for the highest intent keywords, that eventually flows on down into Google, where we rank in page 1, which is still where it's like 89, 90% of search happens still on Google. And that is our S-cubed methodology. Special thing about this, dude, S-cubed methodology is the only thing that I've seen that can successfully fight against market saturation, that we can implement fast. The only other second option I've seen that we cannot implement fast is having a brand. That takes years, maybe even decades. But S-cubed methodology, we'll be seeing results way, way, way quicker than that. And it's the only thing that I've seen that can successfully fight against market saturation. Because imagine if we're in Wichita, Kansas, there's a million boudoir photographers. We're one of them. Everyone's got a website. Everyone's trying to rank on page 1 on Google. But if we S-cubed methodology hard enough, we saturate social search to all our competitors. Let's say we take the first 300 slots in social search on all the platforms, and all our competitors are relegated to, the slot 301 or after. Same on Google, which means 10 organic slots per Google page. So that means 30 pages we tick up. Gotta go to page 31 to find our competitor. Is our business growing, treading water, or declining in a marketplace with 1 million boudoir photographers where we dominate the first 300 search results on all platforms? Obviously, ours is growing. We're the fastest growing business. Even if there's 900, there's 999,999 other boudoir photographers competing against us. So that's just if we, turbo max out S-cube methodology. And so again, it essentially kind of makes it like market saturation no longer matters because we're kicking everyone off page 1. That's the most important thing because we know approximately 80% of Google searchers never go to page 2. So we care about the bulk of the market here, which means the minimum we got to kick as many people off page 1 as possible. Now, once we treat our BSS with S-cubed methodology, we have page 1 visibility. So we can finally be seen on page 1, not look like everyone else. And a bonus of this is every new slot we take on page 1, we are kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page 1, effectively making them invisible. And as a result, they're on page 2. They're effectively invisible, man, because only 1 out of 5 Google searches will ever find them. I mean, they're disappearing boudoir photographer. Their boudoir photography business will disappear soon enough. So it's kind of a bonus of X cubed and S cubed. And this is the same thing on social networks as well, but kind of focusing more clearly on Google right now. Now, page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So this means we don't have 0 slots on Google, page 1 Google. We don't have 1 slot on page 1 on Google. And ideally, we don't even have 2 slots on page 1 on Google. Our GBC minimum we want to hit is 3 out of 10 page 1 slots on Google for local search and city search. Because at 3 out of 10 slots, we've kicked off 2 out of 3 peeps from page 1 instantaneously. Also, everyone else will probably only have 1 slot. So we're 3v1 again against them. People are going to say, oh, why is Google recommending this person so much? They'll most likely be more inclined to click on us instead of any of the others. And there's a tiny minuscule chance someone else may have 2 slots, but our 3 slots will still beat them. We'll be seen as more prominent than them. So we got it. That activates boudoir search visibility for us. And a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer. So we got to become visible. That's the way we can guarantee we're not disappearing. So this is our micro universe here. We got disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness. It's caused by market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. And we now have a solution, S cubed methodology, which we invented. We achieve page one visibility, and we become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. So it's our full micro universe. And now some results of me using um, S-cubed methodology because I invented it. So I want to rank for term BLCS boudoir. So we go down organic. Let's go to the organic slot. So we got organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. And slot 10 is me. So this is what I did. I went from 0 out of 10 slots to 9 out of 10 slots. Page 1 of Google in 10 days. Kicked out everyone else here. I took it over. And if someone searches my keyword BLC, BLCS boudoir here, who are they clicking on? They probably won't even need to scroll past number 5. They're like, okay, it's all the same dude. I don't even need to scroll past position 5. I'm simply gonna click on his organic search result. So this is the power of SQ's methodology for the keyword that I wanted to rank for. Now we're gonna check out. We're gonna see if this boudoir photography business has BSS, kind of the basis for all this stuff. So let's see. So we got to do a search boudoir photography Las Vegas. All right. All right, so we got boudoir photographer Las Vegas, Nevada. So let's see. Nope, 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 nope. Oh, there we go. All right, we got 1. 1 out of 10. Nice. All right. We got 1 out of 10. So we do have BSS, boudoir search sameness, because we got 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google search for high intent keywords here. And ideally, we would want to get to our GBC minimum of 3 out of 10, because then we can basically guarantee we're not a disappearing boudoir photographer. At minimum, we're treading water, or we could actually be growing. So we do want to get to 3 out of 10. So if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer, you went and did the local search for yourself and the city, or local search for the highest intent buyer keywords and the city search for the highest intent buyer keywords, and you had BSS for one or both, or you did not meet the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page 1 for either one or both of those searches. And you now realize page 1 equality was kind of automatically accepted before, but now you realize it's a false belief. Now you realize, wow, we truly can take as many page 1 slots on Google as we want to put in the effort to acquire. And you understand market saturation with how, basically people get new iPhones, throw up their Google My Business profile and their websites, and they shoot boudoir. So get new gear, increase the number of boudoir photographers over time. It's always increasing, and you're actually thinking ahead. You're seeing AI. You accept it's okay. It's probably going to start steal more people's jobs. So what we're actually going to need to do is it's going to force a bunch of boudoir photographers to come into the marketplace that were not boudoir photographers before, but they have, everyone's got a camera on their phone. And so you want to fortify your position ahead of AI taking everyone's jobs. And I don't know, could that double the amount of boudoir photographers in the market? No idea. But you want to fortify your position before then. You kind of want to get more slots on page 1 before that happens to kick out current competitors, and get even more slots on page 1 to fortify your position against the coming influx of new boudoir photographers that will inevitably be coming into the marketplace. So more sellers for the same number of buyers as AI takes more and more people's jobs. And so you want to fortify you want to kick out the current competitors, fortify your position against future competitors. And you also want the your CNS cubed methodology is the only solution that you can see that allows you to do that as a boudoir photographer. And you actually want kind of the extra back-end benefits from this as well, which is every day we execute S-cubed methodology successfully, we're actually building these thematic keyword columns that are plugged, kind of like spokes, that are plugged into our main brand across our social channels, across the internet, our website, our brand name, our social handle name. And as we do more and more of that every day, it actually increases the probability we get recommended an AI overview, this premium spot placement up at the top above everything. And many times, it's literally recommending one studio at a time, based off of thematic keyword relevance, authority, things like that, and frequency. And also every day we execute methodology correctly. So it's building up that momentum in the background for AI overview and also standard AI search and all the different AI search platforms. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Every day we successfully execute SQ methodology, build up those thematic keyword columns attached to our brand, kind of like spokes on a wheel. We're increasing the probability AI recommends us in search into the future. Kind of increasing that probability every single day we successfully execute. And you also see that kind of the earlier you jump on this, the more distance you put, kind of the more momentum is built, kind of more fortification, kind of fortifying the levees like New Orleans against the ocean because it's below sea level, and building momentum for back-end AI search, AI overview recommendations forever into the future. Well, for every day that SQ methodology is successfully executed against all current and future competitors who are not running SQ methodology. Because my current plan is to only run it with one boudoir photographer per city. And so if I were to work with a competitor and that happened, instead you would have to rederive and refigure out and retest SQ methodology to figure it out for yourself. And you would never really know if you actually derived it correctly. But even so, you'd have to then go execute it on your own, which you'd have less confidence in, because again, you would not have known if you've actually derived it correctly. And you'd have to equal our output of me working with your competitor to maintain our gap where we're already ahead. You'd have to actually double or triple our output to actually close the gap and overtake us, kind of suck away that thematic keyword kind of momentum, back into momentum for AI search engines to steal it away from us. So you realize, screw that. It's better to simply be, the first mover on this, kind of kick out current competitors from page one, actually increase, 4 to 5 year position against future competitors as AI takes people's jobs, force them to become boudoir photographers. And so you're saying SQ methodology is the best path for you because you want, page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, achieve boudoir search visibility, because you need that on your way to become number one boudoir photographer in your city. So if that's you, shoot me a DM when I open up for new patient intake. My DMs are closed right now. Slots are currently closed. And when you do open up, or when I do open it up, shoot me a DM and we will see if you qualify for using SQ methodology.